Hi everybody, this is Tracy Markley with Tracy's Fitness Personal Training and author of 15 books, author of 2 courses, and the host of the podcast show, The Health and Fitness Show with Tracy. So what I wanted to talk about today is stroke recovery and music. So I have 2 parts of this. One is I wanted to share 2 stories that are very cool of 2 older stroke survivors listening to music when they were in the recovery. And another thing I wanted to share was a study. So there was this study on the brain after stroke survivors listening to music, the music they like, not just random music that they hear out in stores, or if there's a therapist, physical therapy, or at the gym and you're just listening to whatever music's on. Listening to music, it's something that they like. Music that you like if you're the stroke survivor. So listening to music that you feel good with, that you have memories with, the music just puts you in a good mood because music makes you feel good. And one of the things they spoke about is after a stroke, your body, your brain, it's very stressful. It's a lot of people get post-traumatic stress from it. There's so much stress around having a stroke. And if you're listening to music that makes you feel good, that helps your mood better, which helps with your recovery. It helps with the gray matter in your brain and a lot of the rebuilding that goes on, the feel good of it. There's more technical part that's going on in the brain. I won't get into that. But so they did a study, and I was listening to a neuroscientist talk. And I went and listened to this talk after, when I share my 2 stories of these 2 clients, it made me go research it more because it's something I saw happening. I thought, well, this is really interesting. So I did some research and I saw some lectures from a neuroscientist. And so let me share the 2 stories and then we'll go back to what they said about the study. Okay, so one of my stroke survivors was 82, I think he was. I met him, he was probably 2 years post-stroke when I met him. And he did not have aphasia. He could speak, but he forgot things. So he may remember something about 40 years ago or someone he knew 50 years ago, but he couldn't remember what he had for lunch an hour before he came to see me. And he remembers some exercises, some not, depending on his day. But this is one of the things we did with him, what I did with him. So he walked with a cane and kind of slow, be focusing, maybe move a little faster and safer. So what I would do, where I was training at the time, there was a room where we did some of the aerobic classes, but it was also a basketball court. And so we had all the music in there from teaching classes, so I could pop in any music I wanted. So he was in a band way back in the day, in the 40s. Not when he was when he was 40, back in 1940s. 1940s, so it was that music he listened to, kind of a jazzy, blue, kind of can't even remember the type of music it was, but it was from back in that era. And so when we'd walk in there, just to whatever music the gym has on, he's like, just walking. But I had a CD that was 1940s music for senior workouts. I popped that in one day, and he all of a sudden stood taller, good posture, got a smile on his face, walked more focused, walked faster, and was happy. And I went, wow, this is, so I asked him at that time, I go, is this like, what did he tell me? I can't remember if I knew he's in a band yet. I knew he made he said something about liking the music. And that's when he told me he was in a band. So I think I found out the band part after, but I got on music that related to him, that was enjoyable, and made him feel good. And so every time he did workout with me, we would do certain things out in the gym part, and then I'd take him in there and do the walking. And it was like a different person. And I thought, that's really interesting how this is. So, and then I have another client. He was a very nice, very good man. I mean, the other guy was a good man too. But this guy, he liked listening to his Christian music in his ears. We couldn't hear it, but in his ears, as he was there at the gym when I wasn't with him, or if he was standing on the balance ball. He's actually the man in my first book, The Stroke from an Artist, The Journey of Fitness Trainer and Stroke Survivor. The Journey of a Fitness Trainer, stroke survivor, yeah. He would be there every day at the gym, and lots of times with me, but sometimes he'd just be on their zone, practicing his balancing stuff over at the bar, and he'd listen to his music. And he would tell me, oh, I just love my Christian music. So he was listening to what he liked, what made him feel good. And he had the most progress of any survivor I worked with. I mean, he came to me in a walker. He was out of the hospital for 6 months before I met him and told he'd never walk again. A therapist got him out of a wheelchair to a walker, and then I got him. And he ended up standing on Bosu balls, walking across Bosu balls. I mean, it's an amazing story. You got to read it. It's on audio, and it's in Kindle, and it is on paperback. And if you look through my videos here, you'll see any videos with Gary, the stroke survivor. That's him. Anyway, back to the study. So after I realized putting these two together, mainly these two particular people, I looked up studies and I listened to some neuroscientists, two different ones talk about it. And it is a thing. It is a scientific study, at least at that time, showing that when a stroke survivor listens to music, it helps them. Now, one of them said, music you like, music makes you feel good, music you're familiar with, music that, puts that feel good hormone and everything through your brain and your body. And one of them, he was more specific of the time frame. Like one of the studies, he did a study, and it's really important to do this the first 6 months, according to him, the first 6 months after a stroke. Listening to the music, he thinks works even better than after. But I have, like my clients, I met the one after 6 months, and the other one I met him 2 years after a stroke, and the music was affecting them. So I don't know if this study of the 6 month limit means anything, because I thought it was way beyond. So, but he said in the first, do it for, in the first 6 months of the brain's doing a lot of things that he was explaining, and you may not see more results in the first few weeks or months of doing it, but in time, it helps you down the line too. So the point of this video is, no matter what studies out there, they have shown that listening to the music that you like, that make you feel good, that helps your brain feel good, and helps with your mood, and maybe helps give you a calmness, because stroke is awful. It affects people physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, relationships, everything. It's very stressful. And if you can bring music into it just for the feeling of good through it, but also the developing of the brain and the neurons and building more gray matter that helps with things healing in the brain and all that other scientific behind it, doing that too. So basically it's good for everything. So I would recommend that. And so they said that it enhanced, that listening to the music enhanced cognitive and moods after a stroke. And that's what you're doing. You've lost cognitive skills, spatial awareness, proprioception, a lot of different cognitive skills fit into what's lost during a stroke. Listening to music can help you bring them back. And you want to feel better, feel good too. So I wanted to share that. Find your good music, listen to it, put it on. And sometimes now, because everyone can put things over their ears, you can listen to music and tune out other stuff. Some people have really stressful homes. Not that you want to isolate yourself, but sometimes you just kind of need to go into your own space too. Although there's people that don't have a lot of support and they wish they weren't only in their own space. So you get the mix of it all. I know so many stroke survivors that have great family, caregivers, or neighbors, and people just come and they're so supportive and feel so loved and supported, and they don't feel alone. And then you have people that maybe their spouses left them, or maybe they didn't have any spouses when it happened, or no one around them understands it, or they're left alone in it. They have to take taxi cabs through the therapy. I had a woman that came to me. She would take taxis to come to her therapy with me, and the taxi cab driver was always late. picked her up late. It was just so sad for her. And then another woman had a caregiver, and this caregiver would come with her. We have paying for an hour appointment, and the caregiver would bring her 40 minutes late. And my option was either, if I didn't have a client after her, just give the stroke survivor the time she needs because she needs the care. The other option was sometimes I couldn't do that. And then that gives, for the professional, that kind of, we lose money. But on the other part of it, if there's a client after her, you just can't do it. So some people don't have the greatest care, or they have irresponsible people around them. And so they have this other stress on top of it. And it's really sad. So that's why I've tried to write my books to help people, and my videos. So with this video, I encourage you guys to play your music. Oh, and one more thing, one more story I want to share. Okay, so I had one client who had aphasia, so he couldn't speak. He could say yes or no sometimes, but he would say yes when he meant no and no when he meant yes. And at first, it was hard for me to determine that, but I could see it in his eyes. I could tell in his eyes what was yes and no. So it was very cool that I could recognize that in him. But this is the thing too. I don't know what made me do this, but we were just talking, and he was there and his wife was there, and he was working on his balancing. And this was actually a couple. I was in Florence, Oregon at the time. I'm not there anymore. Better back in California, but I was in Oregon at the time. And I got if you know any of my stories, you may have heard this. I got an email from someone who lived in New Jersey. Her home address was exactly 2,999 miles from my home. So we'll say 3,000 miles. So 3,000 miles away, contacted me and told me all these really sad and hard stories that they've had with physical therapists and trainers. And she's read my first 2 books and asked, could they come stay in the town I lived in for a month and train with me every day? I was honored, but it also broke my heart because I can't believe that was something she had to do, and they were in their 80s. It just was surreal for all around. The fact that she thought I could help her, which I could, but the thought that there was so much lack of knowledge helping stroke survivors out there for people getting good care. There's a lot of good, but there's a lot that's not. And if you have someone that doesn't have a lot of knowledge, so limited knowledge in your professional will most likely and can limit the stroke survivor in their recovery. And if you heard me talk, I always say, if someone doesn't know what muscles help your arms move around and stabilize your shoulder, how are they going to help you get movements back of your shoulder and your arms if they don't even understand the concept or what muscles in the back play a role supporting things and moving things? So more on that, look at my other videos. And also I've stroke recovery, regaining arm movement, and stroke recovery, leg stability and walking gait. So with this couple coming, what I tried one day was, I was curious, could he sing? He couldn't speak a sentence, but could he speak a sentence? So my dog, I picture my dog's usually here. I had a husky, part wolf. He was great, best dog ever. Loved my client, sat by the wheelchairs. Half of them would say, I just came to see your dog, not you. Anyways, it was Wasabi. And if you followed me for years, he was my soul. I lost him a couple years ago. It was very hard. Anyway, my dog howled. And if I sang happy birthday, he would howl happy birthday in the same tune. So he was kind of known for that. And there's some videos of him singing Neil Diamond songs and Margaritaville and stuff on YouTube because he was a singer. I would howl or sing a song and he would howl with me. And sometimes he was so on cue. So it was somebody's birthday. So him or his wife, it could have been mine. I don't remember what birthday it was, but I go, Wasabi, let's sing happy birthday. So I started to get him to howl happy birthday. And my client started singing. And I went, you can sing? So, and I was realizing, oh my God, and that's when I started asking, can you sing words, but you can't speak them? So he literally could sing the happy birthday song all the way through. He couldn't speak the sentences in the happy birthday song, but he could sing it. And man, I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, whoa. So I told them, okay, so when you go home or back to the condo or hotel you're staying at here, when you ask them questions like, how you feeling, honey? I was telling him to sing the sentence out and see if he'd sing back. I don't think they ever tried it, but I was really, really curious if somebody who falls, no matter what age you are, if you have this going on, you can sing a sentence, you can sing a song, but you can't speak. If the people around you would communicate in singing, if it would bring back speaking for them. I haven't had anyone do that study. I would love to see someone do it and let me know the answer. I think it's amazing. So there's my stories with music and singing and bringing that in. So again, I'm Tracy Markley. If you've been following me, you know my books and my videos. I have 15 books now. 5 are on stroke recovery. All of them are about helping people in bodies and body mechanics and muscles. They're on Amazon, tracymarkley.com. Most of them are also on audio. And so sharing today, stroke recovery, what now? When physical therapy ends, but your recovery continues. This couple coming to see me from New Jersey inspired me to get something out there to help survivors have more knowledge, gain more knowledge, and help them maybe find a professional around them that have the knowledge. There's a chapter in here on how to find a professional. So their story encouraged me with this. Plus also at the time I had started a stroke support group on Facebook, and it had over 5,000 people in it, which is a lot of people. But like, if you've heard me say this before, there are stroke support groups on Facebook with thousands more people than I had. But I asked the question one day to them, what is, after physical therapy, what is your biggest challenge finding a fitness professional or, someone, any kind of fitness professional, Pilates, personal trainer, anything that falls in the category of helping a body get stronger? What are your challenges finding someone? And the stories that people wrote back as my answer shocked me. It reminded me of their story. It made me so sad for them. And all I can think of is, wow, I have all this knowledge. I can't help everybody, but if I put it in a book, maybe it would help them. And then that also led to a course. So there's a stroke recovery training course to help fitness professionals train more too. But this book is called Stroke Recovery, What Now? And I'm going to be doing a series of videos from chapters in this book coming soon. I'm going to start making them now. But let me tell you the chapter titles in the book is dedicated to all stroke survivors never give up. All my books are dedicated to something. Okay, so I don't get into a lot about the strokes, a little bit on what is a stroke, the types of stroke, then brain damage and stroke recovery. Every stroke survivor will be different. Communication is crucial. So meaning if you're with a physical therapist, if you're with any kind of fitness professional, or you are the professional and you're with your stroke survivor or their family, whoever's with them, or they're alone, communication is essential. Not meaning talking, but meaning knowing when their arm hurts, knowing when, for example, if you've been working and, just whatever with your client or your client who's stroke recovery, and they come in one day and say, you know what, my thumb's moving now. Then you go and you start focusing on that hand because that hand's trying to come back. That kind of communication. Ask them if they're fatigued. How are you sleeping? Are you eating well? Stay in communication of everything. In fact, this one woman who's traveled here from New Jersey, she came in one day after about a week and a half, I think, of us training together, coming every day. I think they came every day for 30 days except for 2. And she said to me, you know what? When he was sleeping last night, his hand was tweaking, in my sense of it all was that hand's trying to come back. So we started focusing more on his hand and more around the arm strength because it was coming back. And then when I shared that story, a girl I know in Oregon, never met her, she lives in Portland. She said, I noticed my hands doing that at night. Because I always say, if you see that happening, start working on it. That means the brain's trying to make a connection. Go with it. Because the brain will lead you. So my point of the communication is the brain, you don't know what's always going to come back and when and how far. Or you may be working on something with walking gait and all of a sudden something over here is working. And so the brain leads it in a way. So communication is essential. So when they come in and tell you, oh my God, I feel this now, or my numbness in my leg has gone away, that means the brain's there. The brain's coming with parts, focused near there. So that's what I talk about in the book about the communication. In fact, the girl in Portland said, I asked her, I go, I wonder what would happen if you got up, safely, if you're be alert and awake. If you got up when you wake up and notice that with your hand happening and start doing your hand exercises, what would work? So she did. And it worked. But if you do that stuff, always make sure you're safe, you're aware, you're not half asleep or anything like that. Okay, so that was the communication chapter. I talked about stuff like that. It is crucial. And then rebuilding body mechanics and muscles, brain care, fascia, treadmill and walking, focus on visualization, spatial awareness, proprioception and feeling safe in movements, numbness and loss of sensations, leg brace, foot drop, and turn out. Because people, your leg turns out, which begins at the hip, not the foot. Posture is important. Spasticity, Pilates, pain, vision and peripheral vision loss, which is like, you can't see something right here. Full body workouts, ball disc, Bosu ball, Swiss ball, and balance pad. Exercises, finding a professional, finding support groups, and about the author. So that is the chapters in this book. And it's also an audio. Just know if you look at, so I always have in a section where I'm showing muscles and trying to educate people on muscles, because if you have a vision of what you're working on, it helps. So just know if you are listening to the audio, you won't see the muscles, but they are there. So if you're learning to read again, it's good to have the book and the audio, because you can have the audio reading to you as you're looking at the book, which is very helpful for regaining reading back and regaining retaining what you read. Because often after a stroke, people tell me that they go to read a book or read something and they keep rereading the same paragraph because they can't remember what they just read in that beginning sentence. So the brain is very, it's an organ in the body. It's the engine to your body. It's the programming of the computer of your body. So that's why I did this book. And that's why I brought it out there. It's a few years old now, but it's really helping people learning the things in there when it talks about. So basically, if you or your caregiver, you understood what's in here, if you go to meet a professional, if they don't know what in here and you know more than them, it probably shows they are not going to be able to help you as well, because they don't know the advanced things. So I try to make this video shorter, but yes, I want you to know about the music. I want you guys to start listening to music that you love. Help it to make you feel calm or happy or joyful, even though a stroke sucks. It just sucks. Anyway, wishing you guys well. Drink your water, stay hydrated. Remember, your brain is about 80 to 90% water. And if your brain's slightly dehydrated, it affects your balance, your cognitive skills, your speech, everything you lose in a stroke. Your brain gets that when you're dehydrated or partially dehydrated. So if you're not drinking your water and staying dehydrated, your brain now has a double whammy, and it's going to slow down your recovery. And it also, drinking your water will help with sometimes with spasticity, but it also helps with muscle pain and joint pain, because if you're dehydrated, you get more pain. That's with any of us. So drink your water. I hope this has helped you. Please look at my other videos, get my books, like the video. If you get the books, please give it a 5-star review, because the more people that like it actually say they like it, the better it can help other people. My goal is for my work to help people. It all started with my writing with my first client in the first book, Gary, who wanted a story shared that said, if my story shares just one person, then that person is worth it. And that's me too. If this video helps this one person, then making the video is worth it. So again, this is Tracy Markley. Take care of you, take care of others, be kind to yourself, hydrate yourself, listen to your music, and I wish you guys good healing and have a good day.